such as voting and indentation and errors resulting from lack of knowledge of the rules the language. In some of the second language literature, performs error have been called mistake, while the term errors was reserved from the systematic deviation due to the learned, still developing knowledge of the L2 system. The distinction between perform of competence error is extremely important, but it is often difficult to determine the nature of a deviation without careful analysis. In order to facilitate reference to deviation that have to not yet been classified as performance or competence error, we do not restrict the term error to competence-based decoration. We use error to refer to any decoration from a selected norm of language performance, no matter what the characteristic or cause of the deviation might be. Chomsky 1985 made a distinguishing explanation of competence and performance, on which later on the identification of mistake and errors will be possible. Chomsky stated that we do make a fundamental distinction between competence, or the speaker her knowledge of his language, and performance, or the actual use of language in concrete situation. In other words, errors are thought of as indication of an incomplete learning, and that speaker or her has not yet accumulated a satisfying language knowledge which can enable them to avoid linguistic misuse. Relating knowledge with competence was significant enough to represent that the competence of the speaker is judged by means of error that concern the amount of linguistic that he or she has been exposed to. However, performance, which is the actual use of language, does not represent the language knowledge that the speaker has. According to G. Ricard et al. 202, people may have the competence to produce in infinitely long sentences, but when they actually attempt to use this knowledge, there are many reasons why they restrict the number of adjectives, adverbs, and clauses in any one sentence. Why is it essential for teachers to understand about error analysis? Teachers in numerous countries have spent countless hours addressing errors, from student composition and conversation, submitting them to close scrutiny and using them as a base for theory, construction, and classroom practice. Teachers, however, noticed that a great number of student errors could not possibly be tracked to their native language. For example, although Spanish plurals are formed almost exactly like English plurals, Spanish-speaking children still go through a pluralist stage as they learn English. This and other similar observation document in journal articles point out an embarrassing gap between theory and reality and set the scene for the acceptance of a more comprehensive approach to errors. The categories of errors analysis. The first, overgeneralization. The second, simplification. Third, developmental errors. Four, dual errors. 5. Errors of avoidance. And the last, errors of overproduction. The explanation of each category. Overgeneralization. In linguistics, overgeneralization error occur when the speaker applies a grammatical rule in case where it does able. The second, simplification. They result from learn producing simpler linguistic form than those found in the target language. In other words, learners attempt to be linguistically creative and produce their own poetic sentence. They may actually be successful in doing it, but it is not necessarily the case. Quarter or mentation that learners do not have the complex system why they could simplify. Third, developmental errors. This kind of error is somehow part of the overgeneralization, or this latter is subtitle in natural and developmental learning stage error. 4. Induced error. As ignored as transfer of training error caused by misleading teacher. Example, teachers sometimes unconditional explain a ruler without highlight the expression or the intent message they will want to convey. 5. Error of avoidance. This error occurs when the learner fail to apply certain target language rules just because they are thought of to be difficult. And the last, error of overproduction. In the early stage of language learning, learners are supposed to have not yet acquired an accumulation is satisfied linguistic knowledge which can enable them to use the finite rules of the target language in order to produce infinite structure, most of the time beginning overproduction in such a way. They frequently report a particular structure. Thank you for attention. Good afternoon.